You're listening to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast with Coach Felicia, where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Welcome back to another episode of the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast. I am here with Miss Patrice Cameau from CAMPspace in Hyattsville, Maryland. Hey, Patrice, how are you?
Hi, Felicia. I'm wonderful.
That is amazing. I am so glad that we are going to have this conversation because if y'all don't know about CAMPspace, like y'all who've been listening to me, y'all know I am a PG County girl. And so when you see that a Black woman has literally built a building for other Black women, like you can't not talk to the person who is creating content and spaces. If anybody follows anybody in the DMV, I can guarantee you they didn't took some pictures. If y'all watch Housewives of Potomac, okay, even Robin was in there with her hats, okay. So y'all done seen it, okay. Y'all have already seen it. So I'm so glad that you are here with us today. For those who don't know you because they're not from the area, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started?
Sure. Thank you so much, Felicia. Like I said, I'm happy to be here. And I'm Patrice. So I own a content creator studio called CAMPspace, located in the gorgeous Prince George's County, Hyattsville specifically. And camp, started actually as a co-work space because in my previous life as a PR and marketing consultant, I just never had a space to work. But after a year and a half, I learned that the people that were spending the most money with me and supporting me and creating the most impactful, they were using the space in the most impactful way. Were women like me who were content creators, women just like you, who were booking it on the weekends to shoot photos and to build their personal brands. Moms who had kids and worked full-time jobs who realized that creating content was something that made them feel good. Creating content was something that helped them just be them and share their story. So I just decided to pivot, and now it's a content creator studio. And while anybody can use CAMPspace, as you mentioned, we've had Real Housewives of Potomac shoot there. We've had Roland Martin shoot a documentary there. I mean, some big production houses come through the space. I am very intentional and I know exactly who I'm talking to. And it's us, So
that is a beautiful thing. And I love the way that like the story goes. Like we have a tendency, because a lot of times we talk on here about purpose and what it is that you're supposed to be doing. And sometimes you're going down this path because you think that's what you're supposed to be doing, but it really ain't that's not going to be the end result. But the fact that you even started, right? Because a lot of us don't even start because we're like, oh, is that really going to be a thing? Or, when you say co-working spaces, there at a period of time, there was a whole bunch of co-working spaces that popped up at the same time. And, all of those things. But if you hadn't started, it wouldn't have become exactly what it was supposed to be now, right?
That part.
That part. So as we talk about this, this journey of even transitioning from, going from PR to creating a co-working space to then creating a content create studio for women of color, how has self-doubt showed up in your journey?
Child, I'm in self-doubt right now. I'm in self-doubt season right now. Okay. And I think, one of that's why I'm happy that we have platforms like this, right? Because it's like, it's slaying, but it's self-doubt, because we got to understand and we got to recognize that both parts of it matter. Sometimes you have to feel that self-doubt, right? You got to feel it to overcome it and to realize that you got to do some things. So, starting from the very beginning and being a PR consultant and always having a full-time job, because I just didn't think I was going to be able to make the money as a consultant. So I always had this other thing. So that's one. And feeling like I didn't know how to manage my money to be an entrepreneur.
That's a whole nother word.
Something I still deal with today, and always having that little, that back pocket, because I ain't trust myself, right? To go all in. and even with opening a space and, seeing, like you mentioned, all the other spaces pop up and wondering, well, how am I going to cut through the clutter? And even now, when it used to be a bunch of co-work spaces, now there are content studios.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
telling you.
wow.
And obviously I'm tapped in because
Right.
this is
Yeah,
my
yeah.
market. But I think since COVID happened, I think people realized they didn't want to
Right.
shoot in their houses anymore. So entrepreneurs, younger content creators, people who are
Yeah.
25 who getting it. Shout out to these youngins who are
Yeah.
just, I love it.
Yeah.
They're saying, well, if I'm taking pictures all the time, I'm gonna open a spot.
Yeah.
And, there's definitely sometimes when I don't feel this way anymore. It's like, oh, this is competition, da 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 da. But you gotta move past that. You gotta slay it.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to feel it.
Yeah.
And
No.
yeah, I think for me, just in these seasons of self-doubt, again, I'm in the season of it right now. You have to you have to push through it, or you have to have somebody in your corner, like, and keep it
Right.
moving.
And what you gonna do?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think I love the fact that you say it's seasons, right? Because it does come in seasons. I've always said that in the beginning of this, I was very much so like, okay, well, I'm not gonna really step out there until my self-doubt is gone.
Mm,
And the Lord was like, yeah, that is not that's not how that works, right?
yep.
So you have like and that is like a perfect explanation of it, that is in seasons of when you could things could be going really really well, and in that moment you're not physically slaying self-doubt, right? Because
Right.
we've learned through these episodes that slaying is an action, right? Like we're content, it's a constant movement, and it's going to show up differently depending on the season that you're in, right?
Right.
Because you will always have something that is going to try to push you back from your forward movement. But I think it's important as well for you to, just like you said, you have to be able to feel it. You have to be able to identify it. And a lot of times in the beginning of these things, we don't know what it is, right? We just
Right.
is like, I just feel some type of way. That is like the definition of it.
Yep.
And then like even for me, I felt some type of way, but the action that came behind it was procrastination.
Mm.
I just waited and was like, well, when I feel better, I'm gonna just do it. But if I'm feeling doubt, I'm not ever
Yeah.
gonna feel I'm
Not
not
gonna
ever
ever.
gonna feel
Yeah.
better. I'm gonna always be doubtful of whatever that is. And so I
Mm.
think that is an important thing, that you have to be able to call a thing and be able to say that this is legit what's going on. So when you're in your seasons of self-doubt, what are you doing? Like what practical things are you doing to be able to kind of push through? Because some of it also, and here's another thing, on the outside looking in, right? People have a tendency to be like, oh no, she winning. Like, what are you talking about? Right. And
Yeah.
you like, girl, if you
If you
if you
only
only
knew.
knew.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think, and you could look at my social or whatever and be like, oh no, she out here, skin glowing, kids good, she's married, and so I think that's why one part of it is always being transparent.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
might not tell you, I might not tell the world the nuts and the bolts of
Mm-hmm.
all the things that are going on, but I'm gonna at least in my captions say, I wasn't feeling this, or I remember when,
Yeah.
or you should do this, because I think that's important. Like the
Yeah.
highlight reel doesn't mean anything to anybody else if you're not given some type of realness behind it.
Yeah.
Um, and then even though I might not be sharing outwardly with the world, like I said, there is somebody that I can be 100% honest with.
Right.
Sometimes that person is my husband, depending on what it is. Sometimes it's my homegirl from high school,
Yeah.
right? Because you have certain conversations with certain people.
Yeah.
Everybody not going to understand what you're going through.
Exactly.
And if you're having that conversation with the wrong person, with the wrong energy, not because they're bad people, just you're in
Right.
a different space, then you might end up feeling even more
Right.
doubtful. Okay.
Then you like, what?
What in the world?
So
And then I think the biggest thing is putting myself first.
hmm.
When you put yourself first and you honor the way that you're feeling and
Yeah.
the goals that you know you can achieve, and you block out everything else and everybody else. Sometimes that means blocking out your kids.
Yeah.
Sometimes that means getting up and working out. I get up 3 times a week at 5:45 in the morning so
Oh,
I can work out. I have to do that. I
Yeah.
don't feel like it all the time, but it's me time. So
Yeah.
in that me time, what am I doing? I'm thinking, my mind is like, "Grr," you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My adrenaline is pumping, my heart rate is up. So I'm thinking super creatively. I am jotting down notes on my phone so that I can come back to it.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel good. When you
Yeah.
feel good, it exudes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I'm looking better because I'm working out.
Right.
When you look good, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think that I honestly that putting myself first has been something that I'm committing to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also trying to encourage other women, moms especially,
Yeah.
to do that because it all works together,
Yeah.
right? These things all play a role. And when you're not feeding yourself spiritually and physically and mentally good things,
Mm-hmm.
then when you do have these moments and these thoughts of, this don't feel right, I'm not doing enough, I'm sad, I am feeling down, that's compounded
Yeah. Yeah.
when physically you're not your best. When you
Yeah.
put trash in your body, you're feeling heavy.
Yeah.
That's
Mm.
clearly going to affect your mental.
Yeah.
Um, so that's a big piece of it, just
Yeah.
making sure that I'm taking care of my physical space too.
And thank you for sharing that, because I think a lot of times when you are in, one of the things that I did not realize in transitioning from a 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship is that the I hate using this word, but the energy behind it is more, right? Like
For
when you go
sure.
to a regular 9 to 5, you're like, you clock in and you clock out, right? For the most part. Like even being a leader in my organization, technically I didn't clock in and out because I was always available to people, but I could say I'm on vacation for this time. I'm put it in my PTO. Don't you call me. I'm turning my phone off. All those things. When you're doing things for yourself, you feel like you have to keep. I gotta stay on. I gotta stay available. Because I don't know, because there's ebbs and flows in entrepreneurship that you're just like, okay, I've been in the valley for a minute now. I need to be available just in case something happens. And what you do is you lose yourself in that because you're just focused on, okay, what's the next thing I can do? What's the next thing I can do? And then 2 years go by and you be like, what was I doing? What happened? And for me, I'm only in my second year, but one of the things that I was very aware of is I was taking that same energy, being everything to everybody in my job, and I was bringing it home in a space where I'm the only person. So who am I? What where? I don't have staff. I don't have people expecting, like, certain things when it comes to like the podcast or clients. But I'm like, that's still few and far between, right? It's not an everyday thing. I don't have a supervisor saying, okay, by 5 o'clock tonight, I need you to have X, Y, and Z. And so even in therapy, and my audience knows I'm a proponent for therapy because therapy and Jesus, but it was really having to say, like, I want to be able to enjoy every single moment of this season that I'm in, because honestly I don't know how long I'm gonna be in entrepreneurship, right? And I don't know how long, God's gonna give me this opportunity. I hope it's for forever, but I mean, things happen, right? So I really wanted to, so I understand that, of like taking the time for yourself and making sure you do the things that you need to do for you. If you need to take a break, sit down.
Yes,
If you
ma'am.
don't feel like answering no emails, don't answer
Just
them.
don't.
You don't have to,
Yep.
because just like you said, when you are heavy, it comes up in your work, right? It
Yep.
will come up. I don't know how many times on this show I have cried because I was just so heavy, and we're just, I don't know, y'all. I'm just, and then on
Mm.
top of that, you find yourself in cycles. You're going and you're doing the same thing over and over again. And you feel like you have momentum, you're right back to where you were, versus taking the time you need to be able to say, like, oh, I need this weekend to chill out. I'm not gonna do nothing. I'm not gonna work on nothing. I'm gonna just spend time with my family, or I'm gonna go on date night because we've been in the house for a year and some months. Let's venture out into the world. Like even now, my mindset is different for this season of like the summer. Like I was intentional about like me and my kids are gonna be out of this house at least 3 days out the week. Y'all not about to sit in here and keep eating up all my food.
You're not doing that.
Y'all done
We're
already
not
ate
doing
enough.
that this summer.
Okay, we can't. I can't take another month of this. Okay.
Right.
It is just, I told my husband, I said, this grocery bill, I don't even, at this point, are we eating? Like, I don't even know if we're eating. Like,
Right.
it's
Right.
really going to them, right? But I was like, I had to be intentional about getting them out the house, right? Moving. You don't need to be on the computer all day. Y'all spent a year in virtual learning. Like, but I was intentional about saying, if I want to do that, what do I need to do in my business so that I'm able to do that?
Exactly.
And that's different, right? Versus being like,
Right.
I'm gonna try to fit y'all in. No, I'm gonna make sure that I did enough work ahead of time so I can spend time with y'all during this time.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, I think that also makes me think about, having a system. And it took a lot of us, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this episode, we doing it on our own. And we are proudly wearing this badge of like being a superwoman and I got it, I'm gonna do it, I ain't hiring nobody. But baby, when you're able to take a step back, trusting, right, that somebody else has it under control, that might mean investing a little more, that might mean spending a little less, right? Because the idea is you've now hired some type of help, right? And I'm not saying bringing on a full-time employee. Virtual assistant costs you $100 a week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That might mean having less coffee or going out to eat less.
Yeah.
But the idea is you bring on somebody that can help you check those emails, that can help you edit the show, so you can put your entrepreneurial manpower to something else that could bring, even higher rewards. So we really got to stop thinking about, again, that superwoman mentality of proudly wearing this badge and I can do it on my own, because nobody else thinks like that. Let me tell you, the other races, every other race is connected.
You
know what I'm saying? From a very early level of them all living in the same house together.
Right, exactly.
Grandma, her child, and the kids' children.
Yeah.
They all live together. You know what I'm saying? And then they go to work. I was just telling my son the other day, I have a 14-year-old who is an amazing human. And he knows about my business. I mean, he's been there often. Sometimes he comes and helps me with shoots. And I said to him the other day, I was like, there's no reason why you should not be working in this business.
Yeah.
Especially, it's a content studio. Bro, that's you.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you do. You be telling me about TikTok. You be hipping me to podcasts that I haven't listened to. So, he's about to start working for my business.
Yes.
I don't know if that means you're now a photographer. I don't know if that means you are figuring out how to edit podcasts. But it's actually not a choice. You about to be working in here. You're working with me, so we're going to figure it out.
And that's what I was going to say. Yeah, when you were talking about that, like, it is intentional that they are in community with each other. We go back home because we like, Mom need to come back, right? That's different. It's not like I'm here to support you. I'm here to, like again, the community and us all do this together. And, I have a 13-year-old and a 11-year-old. And so they're watching me and they're watching the things that I'm doing. And the same thing, I'm like, y'all, there will be other work that you may do, but in the meantime, there's stuff that you can do to help me so that you can see that, because you're gonna benefit from the fruits, right?
Exactly.
You eating up all this food.
Exactly.
And it builds a certain type of work ethic, and then that is a whole different conversation, because that is
no, for real. and one that we definitely got to have. I think our peers. I would assume you and I are around the same age. Our kids are the same age.
Yeah.
Our kids are growing up. We're figuring it out. And it was a little different, when I was 14, both of my parents were working full-time jobs, right? And so my dad had actually stopped his entrepreneurial venture. He was a contractor for a long time. And then around this time, though, when I was in high school, he was 100%. They were both full-time employees.
Wow.
So I don't see them the way our kids see us now.
Yeah.
So definitely a conversation that needs to be had. And you know.
And so because they can see, they are able to see things, differently. So during your journey, and I could even tell when how you were explaining like what you do when you are in these seasons of self-doubt, that you definitely have gotten to like a aha moment, right? So what have you learned about yourself during this journey that you didn't know before? Y'all know the story. This podcast was an assignment from God that had my self doubt and limiting beliefs telling me that nobody would listen. But you, yes, you, kept showing up every week to listen to this podcast. And because you keep showing up, so do I. If you enjoy this podcast and would love to support me and future episodes, please consider making a donation by simply purchasing me a coffee. If you would like to donate, click the Buy Me a Coffee link. Now, back to the show.
Wow. What have I learned about myself? Oh, wow, this is a good one. I've learned that, and I've remembered that I like to be alone.
Mm.
And, I was the only child for 15 years, right? My sister didn't come along till I was in the 10th grade. So I pretty much grew up by myself.
Yeah.
Even when she was a kid, I went on to college.
Right.
So I like to be alone. And when you have 3 kids and a spouse, that can be difficult. My youngest 2 are 2 and 4. So these are humans that actually really love to be on me.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I love cuddling with them too, but I also like to be alone. So that's when, so I know I have to have the time where I'm alone.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. I've also started to trust myself. When you're in this seat, when you're in the space of creating whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
you just move from one thing to the next. It's like A to B to C to D, and then you start the alphabet over again once you get to Z. And you legit don't take a minute to just look back and be like, oh, snap, I did that.
Yeah.
And no matter how big or how small it might seem to be to somebody else, slaying that self-doubt and launching the podcast or opening a whole freaking brick and mortar business.
A whole
and managing it and keeping it open through a pandemic.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? And pitching myself to media and creating these opportunities and these experiences and doing it unapologetically as myself.
Yeah.
Like that shit, that is lit.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not making $1 million. Hell, I'm paying myself way less than I was making when I was a full-time employee. I have to honor that, and I have to show myself that that's a great job. You can brag on yourself for a little bit. At the same time, I'm not afraid to just be real with myself.
Yeah.
And have tough conversations with myself, with my assistant. So yeah, I think I love to write, I love being by myself, and I don't care.
Yeah. And I don't think it's anything wrong. Yeah. I don't think it's anything wrong with that. I think that even when you said that, I'm not me and my sister are like maybe like 2 years apart, depending on how the birthdays, but like a year and a half, 2 years. But I've always been somebody that I'm okay with being by myself, right? Like I need that time alone. At the same time, I like being around family, and I like being with my people and enjoying but when it's time for me to just like pull away, I'm okay with that. And my mom has said, like, you've always been like that. Like the kids will be outside, you be out there playing, and then you just come in the house and you be like, you don't want to go? No, I'm good. I'm up here playing by myself. And I even noticed that in my oldest son. He's the same way. He wants to deal with you when he's ready, and then when he not, he want to do his own thing. And that's fine by me, okay. And I think when you, like you said, honoring that and understanding what you need, you show up better, right? Because when you are forcing yourself to do something that you don't really want to do, my family calls me the queen of no, right? My cousins and stuff, they'll be like, she just gonna say no. One, I always tell them I don't always say no, but I ask a whole lot of questions before I say yes, right? Like if it don't serve me, if it ain't something I'm really feeling, if it's like who all gonna be there, like I need to know all the things before I commit myself to it, because I know how I am, and I know that if I go to a place where I'm uncomfortable, I'm not even gonna have a good time. Like it's not. Why am I here, right? And so as I've gotten older, it used to be like, oh, maybe I should say yes more, and I was just like, no, I'm good. Like they know,
Yeah.
like, and they laugh about it now. Like, we're way older, but they're like, no, it wasn't like you said no to everything. It just was like you needed to make sure that that is the place you wanted to be. If I don't feel like being there, I'm not going to do it. And I've learned that even in my business, right? Like I don't have to say yes to everything just because someone presents me with an opportunity.
Yep.
Nah, I'm good. Like it just isn't. And I had to, in even in saying that, sometimes I did feel bad in the beginning, like, oh, well, maybe this person, maybe I can figure out a way. And I just had to say, Felicia, if it's not in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing, why would you say yes? Like
Mm,
that is not, it
mm,
doesn't serve you. So you have to be okay with telling people no, and let your no be your no. Like,
yeah.
well, okay, it's not for you. Even when it comes to clients, or even when it comes to you say as a creator, and everything, everything don't stick now. Like you throw
Right.
something out there,
Right.
somebody be like, he's like, ain't
Right.
nobody, okay, nobody listened to that
Y'all not gonna
episode.
click this link. Okay.
Right. Okay. I see what happened. That didn't work. Okay. And you have to move on to the next thing. But
Right.
that doesn't stop you from being able to just kind of be full. But you have to know who you are. What are your things? Because for some people, somebody say no and they shut all the way down. You know what I mean? And they
Right.
be like, just forget it. I'm just gonna, yeah, and that's not to say I haven't had moments where I've been like, I'm just gonna go back to work. This is
Mm,
too hard. Like it's easier for me to get a paycheck every 2 weeks. I can do that with no problem. This right here, but it's growing, it's stretching, it is allowing me to be able to see a different side of me that I would not be able to see in someone else's organization,
right.
in someone else's space, limiting who I am, right? Because just
Right.
like you said, I get to show up as my whole self. I told you
Yeah.
before, this is me. Like
Yeah.
you gonna get this Felicia every day. At work,
Yeah.
no, you didn't get this. It was very much so played down, very much so playing small. Okay, this is my part. This is, you just want me over here. That's all I'm doing. Whereas I'm taking up all my space. I'm
Right.
I'm about to be over there too, and over there. And
Right.
I think that having that knowledge of who you are, like authentically and wholly as yourself, is definitely plays a role into how we show up every day in our businesses.
And and to piggyback off that, Felicia, I think when you're able to build something off of just being you, and you can like accept the ebbs and the flows and stick to it, you will always attract like bigger,
Yeah.
right? So I use myself as an example. I'm in a season right now, like I don't believe that it has to be like all in entrepreneurship. Like if you need to go get a side, like I still do PR consulting,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a copywriting job for the last 3 months, like, different, having different opportunities.
Yeah.
And I'm in a season where I'm like, well, you know what, maybe I will pick up. I've built a name in this content kind of space, and I have some expertise in it. So like I could probably get a content creator, content marketing job,
Mm-hmm.
that's paying a good amount of money, that will obviously, right, give me a paycheck, but also kind of put me in rooms
With
with
the
different
people.
brands,
Yes.
where we can have conversations and I can meet different influencers.
Mm-hmm.
So, just also understanding that this is chess,
Yeah.
and, you know, being able to humble yourself and just kind of do what you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that when you said that, like, it is all about the intention behind it, right? Because
Exactly.
if in the beginning, when I was like running from this, I was just ready to go back to the same job that I was working at, like,
Right.
because I know that I can go do that. I can, matter of fact, I can
Exactly.
just go ask for my job back, and y'all
That
probably can give it to
right.
me. Because I
Right.
had been there for 11 years. They be like,
Yep.
welcome back. You will find a place for you. Like,
Yep.
I knew that. But just like you said, in this space, I would, the same thing. Like, I do coaching. So it's like, even if it gets to a place where like slaying self-doubt is kind of in a, wherever it's going to be, and I feel like, okay, I still have to provide for my family. I know why I did this, right? I don't want things to change for my family. I don't want things, but guess what, I'll go give me a job coaching somewhere. I'll go give me a job that's going to be in the direction of where I'm going or where I'm at, which is different from just saying I'm gonna just go get my old job that has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now, because that's
Right.
going backwards, right? And so that's confirmation for anybody who feels like they're in this space of like, should I do it? Should I not do it? If you're moving, if you're running from whatever it is you're supposed to be doing, don't go get this job. But if it's to say like,
Exactly.
this is going to grow me to the next level, and I'm going to use this to be able to put on my resume as like, oh, I've also done this, then there's your confirmation. There you
That's
go.
it. That's it.
There it is. So let us talk about camp spaces and how the transition went from the co-working to the content creator studio.
Sure. So, I have to be, it's simple. So, Nipsey Hussle passed away April 1st, March 31st of 2019.
Mm,
I had been open for a year. I was not, I knew who he was. I knew he also had a co-work space. I knew that he was different, but I didn't really get into who he was and kind of his mantras for life until after he passed away, like much
yeah,
of the world.
yeah,
Okay.
right.
And I mean, it definitely was life changing because he was very adamant about having businesses that were vertically integrated.
Hmm.
And, I said that on another, I was talking to someone else and they needed me to explain it. And so, essentially if your business is vertically integrated, it means that everything works together.
Mm.
You can have multiple revenue streams that play off of one another, that can you can serve your customer five different ways.
Yeah, yeah.
And that just made sense to me. So as a co-work space, very, very simple level, I'm making $200 off of one person per month. When we're a content studio, I'm making minimum $100 off of one person per hour.
Yeah.
Okay. So that right there says it all.
Yeah, that
But
changes things
changes
immediately.
things,
Right.
But let's go a little deeper. As a content studio, you come into the space. As a content studio, the space can be 100% remote. I don't have to go there every day
Yeah.
to make sure there's coffee and all these things. It doesn't have to be clean. So my expenses are less, but I'm making more money.
Yeah.
Okay. But then you come into the space to shoot your content. You have these amazing pictures that you're sharing on social media,
Hmm.
and you're most likely going to tag us, right?
Right.
Because tags get you more eyes. So now you're marketing my business. I haven't paid a thing.
Yeah.
You're sharing my business with someone else. So now more people know who we are.
Right.
But then you've now created content that I can use in my own platform,
Right. Right.
right? So not only are you marketing for me, but now I don't have to pay a photographer
Yeah.
because now you have content and you're happy to share it with me because I'm now resharing you on our page to make more
Yeah.
people know who you are.
Right.
Okay. So that's the visibility and the marketing piece. But at now we're moving into creating products because COVID taught me that having one way to make money was just silly
Yeah.
and not smart. So we've created products, one being the Black Girl Holidays content calendar. It's a 365-day calendar. Every single day in the calendar has something dealing with Black women,
Oh,
be it
wow.
a birthday, a milestone, a historical event. Every single day is in that. And the idea is to open that calendar up. We have it in digital form. The print form for 2021 is no longer available, but we are working on the 2022 version.
Okay.
But you can open that book up and say, okay, today is September 2nd. This happened. I'm going to plan. And you plan your content around it,
Oh, that's so. Oh,
right?
man. Yeah.
So you're planning
And
this
then you've now
content.
taken the thinking work out for a whole
Exactly.
year. For a whole
Exactly.
year.
For a whole year, you're inspiring other people. You're highlighting Black women. You are shouting out celebrities who like, how they know that was my birthday? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And you
Yeah.
can just like for a whole year. So that is the product that, we created at one time and it just sells over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have to do anything other than market it like this. So that's a revenue stream. We've launched a community of content creators who, one thing in my PR background, I know how to pitch myself and my clients. I see so many people come into the space. Thank God for them, but they take these beautiful pictures and I still don't know what the heck they're trying to say. And
Wow.
if your audience doesn't understand what your content, the purpose of your content, they are not going to pay attention to you.
Yeah.
They're not going to click the button and buy your stuff. They're not going to share. They're not
Yeah.
going to do anything. So your engagement is going to stay stagnant, and your growth is never going to you're
Elevate.
never going to
Yeah.
hit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So this membership is called for content creators, and it's using both of my talents to teach you how to be and how to tell your story, your content story, to land great media. And so these are all things that honestly couldn't happen if we were a co-work space. Couldn't happen. And so that's, these things all didn't come these things all didn't come to me in the beginning, in August when I decided to pivot. And I remember very distinctly somebody telling me, wait, you're going to change? That's not going to work.
Wow.
And here we are.
And here we are.
Yeah. And so, listen, I have goals. I have a lot of things that I want to happen. When we were a co-work space, I was not tracking our monthly metrics. I'm just trying to pay the rent now because I see the potential.
Yeah.
From the space, but also from this membership, but also from Black Girl Holidays literally being its own separate entity that could be super cool.
And the thing about it is legit, like as a like even when you say it, like I never even thought of myself as a creator, right? Like I know that I know what I'm doing, but even saying it's like, no, yeah, because you have to create content, right?
You are a creator.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you said it, I was like, yeah, that's me.
That's you. That's all you.
But when you think about it, sometimes that is the hardest thing to do. Like, what am I going to say today? What am I going to say today?
So I batch content. So I do all of CAMPspace's content, right? And I batch it. So every other Monday, I have to do 2 weeks worth of content. And I was doing it last night and I was tired. But it's having a companion like this just makes it so much easier. Okay, let me open a day and see what's happening. Boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
No, yeah, that is definitely something I'm gonna have to invest in, because in real life, like you got me, you have a because the thing about it is that there's only so much you can do. Like sometimes you're so focused on, like I know every March is Women's History Month, right? And so I am adamant that the first year I did it under Slaying Self-Doubt, it was like, oh, I want to honor women that inspire me, and I did that. Then this past year I did it, and I honored 31 women who have been sharing their stories on the show, right? And so it's like, okay, I got March, but it's 11 other months that I got to figure out what I'm going to talk about outside of coaching or the podcast or whatever to bring, to kind of bring people in or whatever. So it definitely, so anybody else out here who needs, there's another little tidbit for you right now. Okay. You just go ahead and get your, what's it called? Black Girl Holidays?
blackgirlholidays.com. You can get the digital version right now. You'll also see that we are doing the journals on pre-order, and the 2022 version will be available for pre-order come October.
Oh, see, there we go. Now we had to plug that in right quick. So when you transition to the content creator studio and it has become what it has become, like earlier you mentioned like having to just enjoy your wins, right? And I, from watching, I've seen so many things, and especially being from this area, I know so many people who have used that space. When you have people and you're watching, like what I need to know, like how does that feel, being able to have people use a space that you created for something completely different. It transitioned into exactly what it was supposed to be. And now, like, what does that feel like when you're watching these women walk in and out of these events when they're hosting, if they're doing podcasts and they're taking pictures, they're having events, they're doing virtual events, they're whatever it is they're doing, how does that feel?
Yeah, so I think I am still trying to be able to take a step back and just like appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right. Because sometimes when I see it, I'm just seeing it. All right, this is the schedule. We got to make sure the cleaning is here. We got to blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right. We got to make sure they don't stay over their time.
Right.
But I really do have to stop looking at it that way and be appreciative that people are supporting my business. You
Yes.
legit could shoot anywhere. You don't have to pay to take pictures and to create content.
Yeah.
But I understand that there is something there that makes people want to use that space, and I'm so thankful. Um, I think that it's it's surreal.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Like I think I'm still trying to figure it out. I think I'm
Yeah.
still just trying to be like, wait, you what?
Like, what happened?
And it's funny, my husband, I was like, and I'm just, this is full honest disclosure conversation. People, if they know me, they know I'm gonna tell you the real all the time. I remember there was a booking, and I was just like, every time, I don't know why this person shoots there, because I don't understand. Like and my husband was like, wait, why are you, who, it doesn't matter. Like, they're paying to use your business. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Because sometimes that analytical part in my mind
Yeah.
comes through, and I'm just like, yeah, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I don't take it lightly. I appreciate it, but I also know that I'm always kind of think, what's next?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And as cool as brick and mortar spaces are, I'm being honest here, it really does pay me to have to write that rent check every month.
Mm-hmm.
And as I create more vertically integrated revenue streams, all of them, I'm trying to make them work without a physical presence,
Yeah.
because we could have another pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, that's real. And while I've seen a lot of businesses a lot of brick and mortars come out of the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
um, me personally, that made me say, no, we got to figure out how to make all the money we can and have same impact
Yeah.
without having this location-based business. Because the fact is, I don't want to have to be tied down.
Yeah.
Your girl like to be out and moving, and I want to travel with my kids. This past spring break, that was my first, we took a 10-day vacation. That was my first time doing a vacation that long. The second
Nice.
week, my son was in school, virtual school.
Yeah.
And that was probably going to change. Kids are going back to school now, but I like being free.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but also, maybe the space still does exist, and there's
Yeah.
just a manager for it. So it's all,
Right.
everything's
Yeah.
possible. But I think that is one thing I need to do more of. Just appreciate the fact that people come here. And I know every time, people don't always tag the space. So sometimes I'll just be scrolling and I'll be like, oh wait, that's my business.
Right. Hey.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
that's just me being an extremely humble person.
Yeah.
I've done a
No,
lot of
I
cool work.
definitely was going to say that that is
Yeah.
exactly what that is. And I think the thing, sometimes also when you're in it, it takes a minute for you to realize what's actually happening, because it's just the
Right.
next thing moving, right? And
Right.
I've had to, for myself, I've had to take moments where I had to say, I actually started writing down. So at the end of the day, when
Mm.
I journal, like I try to close out my day, because a part of, I say earlier, a part of me wanting to experience every single thing that I'm doing, I literally write out what I did for the day. It could be a
Yeah.
wash clothes, folded clothes, but I will say, I interviewed Patrice from CAMPspace.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm going to be size, right? Like, because I can say I did it, because there gets a period of time, especially in this self-doubt, where you think you ain't doing
You
enough.
ain't doing enough.
And I need to go back to that book and be like, girl, like you legit,
Yeah.
even when I
Don't do
did that,
yourself like that.
yeah, you can't, because but sometimes we forget. Like, even when I did the Women's History Month, I legit said, Felicia, you interviewed 31 women. That
That's
wasn't even
crazy.
everybody,
That's
but that
crazy.
was you. That's 31 that you picked out of the people that you had interviewed, right? But there's been times where I've been like, am I still doing this podcast? This is stressful. All of these different things. And so I had to celebrate that. So that's a little tidbit for you. You probably need to write it down, like, this person booked today or whatever. And so that when you have those moments, because the reality is that this community, this PG County, we need you, right? Like, this is you. I can see it because I am here and I'm witnessing it, right? Like, the excitement that comes from it when people are like, oh, this, that, and the third. And I've heard other people like, as soon as that's where I'm shooting at. That's what,
Oh
like,
my
they just
God.
know. So, but
Wow,
I also
that's
understand.
crazy.
I know it, but that's because you're in it. So you don't
Right.
know that the people on the outside and are paying attention. Like, people are paying
Yeah.
attention and they're waiting for their moment to be able to say, that's what I want to be
Mm,
connected to that,
mm,
right? And
mm.
so, I'm gonna give you your flowers now for creating a space for us to be able to show up and be unapologetically ourselves, right? Like,
Thank
you
you.
have created that for us. So for all the people, we want to say thank you.
Oh, Felicia, girl,
I
thank
mean,
you.
listen. This
Thank you.
this
I
is what
needed to
it's
hear
about.
that.
Yeah,
I needed to hear that.
you are doing it, okay? Despite whatever it is that we all have these moments. Like, this is
Yeah.
listen. I told you, slaying self doubt is me. This is my whole
Right.
life
Right.
existence, right? But you have to be able to take those moments in and be able to really say, like, no, I'm actually doing something that is making an impact on the people around me, and that's all we really want to do, right?
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
So,
it.
Patrice, thank you so much for being on the show. How can people connect with you if they want to book a session?
Yes.
If they want to, you also have a podcast, listen to the podcast, the Black Girl Holidays.
Yeah.
How can they connect with you?
For sure. So, if you go to campworkspace.com, you can book a shoot, you can purchase Black Girl Holidays, you can listen to the Shades of Content podcast. Our Instagram is at CAMPspaces with an S at the end. But all of the other entities also have their own social media as well. So it's
Mm-hmm.
at Black Girl Holidays with an S and at Shades of Content. But again, if you just went to Camp Spaces platforms, you'll be able to
You'll be able
access
to find it
everything.
all.
Yes. And then, I love to connect with people myself. My Instagram is just my name, at Patrice Cameau. That's also my website, patricecameau.com. You'll see, if you care about business, then you probably should just follow Camp. I talk about business some on my personal page, but I also just like to get into like what life is like with
Yeah.
having 3 kids and taking
Because
my
you're a whole
momcation
person.
trips. Yes. Yeah. And I don't always want to talk about business all the
Yeah.
time on my page. Like, so I'm a mom. I like to work out. I'm married. I like to travel. And I think I'm always just trying to inspire moms, especially to put themselves first.
Yeah.
And that could mean a lot of things. And I think for the purposes of this, it's like, put yourself first, like start that business, like
Yeah.
trust yourself and know that the way you feel is nothing wrong with it. And your kids are still going to love you. And we always give so much of ourselves to everybody else. And we feel upset when we're left feeling depleted,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't really blame anybody but yourself, if I
Yeah.
can be frank. And so we have to figure out ways to make sure we are loving ourselves the same way we love everybody else,
Yeah.
and
Ask for what you want
you
in,
have
in
to
real life.
in real life. And if that means going and taking that class or saying, you know what, forget this family is going on a diet, then
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's happy if mama ain't right.
Yeah. That is a whole facts. And they
Yeah.
will follow your lead. Like, your kids are
Yes.
paying
They'll
attention,
follow your
right?
lead.
Your husband's paying attention. Everybody's paying
Mhm.
attention. So,
Mhm.
you just want, I think, like you said, just really taking that moment to trust yourself, to be able to put yourself first will help
Mhm.
everybody. I mean, they tell you on the airplanes, put your oxygen mask on first before you help
I
the person
mean,
next to you. So that will always be the example, right?
for
In
real.
a literally, like,
Super
life or death
practical,
situation,
right?
that is like, you got to
Duh.
breathe first, right? So
That's
thank you
it.
so much for joining us today. I just
You're
enjoyed this
welcome.
conversation, and again, I am so grateful that you do what you do, because it allows for women like me to be able to really step into, their whole selves. So continue to show up for yourself, continue to show up for your family, for us, and I appreciate you.
I appreciate it too. This was an amazing conversation. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode. And remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.